Welcome to MSL Stories. Friends, if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel. I have a dream of 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Let's start the story. The moment I saw the unfamiliar hoodie slipped over Laura's shoulders, a flicker of doubt ignited within me. It wasn't just any hoodie. It was too large, the kind you'd see at a gym or borrowed from a friend. She claimed it belonged to her sister, but something didn't add up. I'm Mason Reed, 38. And I run a small private investigation firm here in Cedar Springs. My work demands attention to detail and a knack for uncovering hidden truths, skills that served me well in both my career and personal life. Laura, my wife of 6 years, worked as a creative director at a boutique advertising agency. She was vibrant, intelligent, and always the life of the party. But lately, something felt off. Our home, a cozy 2-story house nestled in a quiet suburban neighborhood, had always been our sanctuary. Surrounded by maple trees that painted the yard in brilliant hues each autumn, it was a place where we built our lives together. But tonight, as Laura stood in the doorway, her demeanor was different, defensive, almost hostile. We had dinner together, the kind of routine that usually signaled comfort and connection. Yet, as she excused herself to take a phone call, the silence that followed was heavy with unspoken tension. When she returned, the hoodie was a stark reminder that not everything was as it seemed. I couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was unfolding, something that would change the course of our lives forever. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would lead me down a path of betrayal, determination, and ultimately, retribution. The unfamiliar hoodie weighed heavier on my mind with each passing minute. Laura had left it draped over the back of the sofa, her latest attempt at masking the truth. I took a deep breath, steadying myself before approaching her. The soft hum of the evening outside our windows contrasted sharply with the tension inside. "Laura," I began, keeping my tone even. "Whose hoodie is this?" She glanced up, her eyes briefly meeting mine before darting away. "It's my sister's. She borrowed it for a workout session." I studied her for a moment, noting the slight hesitation in her response. "She's been to the gym this week?" I asked, pushing gently for more information. Laura bit her lower lip, a telltale sign of someone hiding something. "Yes, she mentioned she was trying out a new class. You know how she's been into fitness lately." Her explanation didn't sit right with me. Laura was meticulous about her routines, always updating me on her activities. I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, for now, but the seed of doubt had been planted, and I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something was amiss. Later that evening, as we settled into our usual post-dinner routine, I decided to address the elephant in the room. "Laura, can we talk about the hoodie?" She looked up, a flicker of defensiveness crossing her face. "What's wrong with talking?" "I just find it odd that you have your sister's hoodie when I know she didn't have a class yesterday," I said, maintaining a calm demeanor. "Are you sure that's the only reason?" Her composure wavered for a split second before she composed herself. "Yes, I'm sure. It was just a one-time thing. I didn't think it was a big deal." I nodded slowly, but the doubt lingered. "All right, if you're sure. I just want to make sure everything's okay." The conversation could have ended there, but my instincts told me to dig deeper. Over the next few days, I observed Laura more closely. Her phone was always on her person, her outings slightly more frequent but unaccounted for in detail. Each small inconsistency built a mosaic of deceit that I couldn't ignore. One evening, as autumn leaves danced outside our window, I decided to confront her directly. "Laura, I've noticed some things that don't quite add up." The hoodie was just the beginning. Her eyes met mine, a mixture of fear and anger brewing beneath the surface. "What are you insinuating, Mason?" "I'm not insinuating anything yet," I replied, stepping closer. "But if there's something you're not telling me, now would be the time to share." Her facade cracked. For a moment, she looked like she was about to confess, but instead she recoiled. "Why are you making this such a big deal? I can explain everything." I remained silent, giving her the space to speak. After what felt like an eternity, she exhaled sharply. "Fine. Yes, I've been seeing someone else, but it means nothing. I wanted to end things, but I didn't know how." The admission hit me like a cold wave. There was no need for further interrogation. The truth was laid bare, and the weight of betrayal settled heavily on my shoulders. Laura had been living a double life, and my suspicions were no longer unfounded. As the reality of her confession sank in, I felt a mix of emotions: hurt, anger, and a steely resolve taking root. This was the turning point, the moment that would define the path I was about to take. There was no room for reconciliation, only the need to reclaim my life and ensure that Laura faced the consequences of her actions. The confession lingered in the air, heavy and unrelenting. I took a moment to process Laura's admission, the finality of her words echoing in the quiet of our living room. There was no turning back now. I stood up, the weight of our shared history pressing down on me. Divorce was never something I envisioned, especially not in the midst of our bustling lives. But clarity often comes in the harshest of moments. I had invested years into our marriage, built a life that felt unbreakable. Yet betrayal has a way of dismantling even the strongest foundations. "Laura," I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside, "I think we need to end this. Our relationship isn't what it used to be, and I can't ignore what you've done." Her reaction was swift and volatile. "End what, Mason? Our life together? You think you can just throw that away?" I remained calm, knowing that escalating the situation would only lead to more chaos. "It's best for both of us. We deserve honesty and respect, and right now, that's not something we have." Assertively, I took control of the situation. "I own the house, Laura. You need to make other arrangements tonight. You can stay with your mother, or I can help cover a hotel stay." Her face contorted with anger. "I am just as much a part of this house as you are. I'm not going anywhere." Frustration bubbled within me. This wasn't just about property. It was about her refusal to accept the reality of her actions. I reached for my phone and called the police, explaining the situation calmly but firmly. Within minutes, officers arrived, their presence adding a layer of authority to my request. Despite their attempts to mediate, Laura's defiance only intensified. She refused to leave, her voice rising in desperation and rage. The situation escalated quickly, leading to her temporary arrest for trespassing and resisting lawful orders. As she was taken away, a mix of relief and sorrow washed over me. The immediate threat was neutralized, but the long-term consequences were just beginning to unfold. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions and strategic planning. I knew that simply ending the marriage wouldn't suffice. Laura's deceit had cut deep, and I needed to ensure that her actions had meaningful repercussions. Using my skills as a private investigator, I began to gather evidence of her infidelity and manipulative behavior. I meticulously documented every inconsiderate act, every lie she had spun over the months. This was more than just revenge. It was about holding her accountable and ensuring she couldn't easily erase the damage she had caused. As I delved deeper into the intricacies of our relationship, memories surfaced that painted a clearer picture of how we had arrived at this point. My journey into private investigation was fueled by a personal tragedy. Years before meeting Laura, I lost a close friend to deception and betrayal, a pain that ignited my passion for uncovering the truth. This career path wasn't just a job, it was a mission to prevent others from experiencing the same heartbreak. My analytical mind and unwavering determination had served me well, both professionally and personally. Outside of work, I found solace in woodworking. Crafting intricate pieces from raw wood was therapeutic, a way to channel my frustrations into something tangible and beautiful. It was a hobby that mirrored my approach to life, patient, precise, and purposeful. Laura's past was a tapestry of creativity and charm. Before our marriage, she had built a successful career as a creative director, her innovative ideas earning her accolades and a loyal following. Her charisma made her a natural leader, someone who could inspire and motivate those around her effortlessly. However, beneath her vibrant exterior lay a pattern of manipulation. Previous relationships had unraveled similarly, marked by deceit and a relentless pursuit of personal gratification. Her need for control and admiration often overshadowed any genuine connection, leaving a trail of broken trust in her wake. Understanding Laura's history was crucial. It wasn't just about her actions in our marriage. It was about recognizing the deeper tendencies that had led her to this point. This insight fueled my resolve to ensure that her deceitful nature couldn't continue unchecked. With a clear understanding of Laura's behavior patterns, I began to implement my plan. Each step was calculated, leveraging both my professional expertise and personal resources to ensure maximum impact without crossing ethical boundaries. Financial exposure. I reviewed Laura's financial records, uncovering discrepancies and unauthorized transactions. Using this information, I discreetly informed her employers, leading to an internal investigation that threatened her career. Social sabotage. I reached out to mutual acquaintances, presenting them with undeniable proof of her infidelity. The ensuing gossip and loss of trust began to isolate her from her social circles, amplifying her sense of vulnerability. Digital retribution. Utilizing my technical skills, I secured Laura's digital footprint. I highlighted compromising communications and erased elements that portrayed her in a misleadingly positive light, ensuring that her online presence reflected her true character. Emotional consequences. I orchestrated scenarios that forced Laura to confront the emotional fallout of her actions. Anonymous messages and staged encounters with her past lovers created an environment where she could no longer hide from the repercussions of her deceit. Throughout this process, I found myself evolving. The pain of betrayal had initially driven me towards revenge, but as each step unfolded, I began to reflect on the nature of justice and retribution. It was essential to maintain a balance between holding Laura accountable and preserving my own integrity. I immersed myself in the meticulous execution of my plan, each action reinforcing my commitment to reclaiming my life. The more I delved into the process, the more I realized that true empowerment came not just from punishing her, but from rebuilding myself beyond the shadows of deceit. As Laura's world began to crumble, I focused on strengthening my own. I expanded my private investigation firm, taking on cases that resonated with my mission of uncovering truth and justice. The community's trust in my abilities grew, providing a sense of purpose and fulfillment that had been overshadowed by the turmoil of our marriage. In the quiet moments between the chaos, I returned to my woodworking, finding peace in the precision and creativity it demanded. Each finished piece was a testament to my resilience, a symbol of the life I was rebuilding from the ground up. The weeks that followed Laura's arrest were a blend of meticulous planning and calculated action. Every move I made was deliberate, ensuring that each step of my revenge was both effective and untraceable. It wasn't merely about retaliation, it was about dismantling the facade she had so carefully constructed. My first target was Laura's professional life. As a creative director at a renowned advertising agency, she had built a reputation for her innovative campaigns and strategic brilliance. However, beneath the surface, her financial management was anything but exemplary. Using my investigative skills, I delved into her financial records, uncovering a series of unauthorized transactions and dubious expense claims that painted a different picture of her integrity. I compiled a comprehensive dossier, ensuring every piece of evidence was irrefutable. With a heavy heart, I contacted a trusted former colleague of mine who worked in the agency's compliance department. Presenting the findings anonymously, I urged them to initiate an internal audit. The agency had zero tolerance for financial misconduct, and within days, Laura was under scrutiny. The investigation not only threatened her position, but also her professional reputation, as whispers of fraud began to circulate among her peers. Next, I turned my attention to Laura's social sphere. She had always prided herself on her extensive network, cultivated through years of charm and manipulation. To dismantle this, I carefully selected moments to reveal her infidelity to those closest to her. I reached out to mutual friends and acquaintances, providing them with undeniable proof of her deceit. Photos, messages, and testimonies from the man she had been seeing behind my back. The impact was swift and devastating. Invitations ceased, and conversations that once flowed freely now carried an undercurrent of judgment and disbelief. Laura found herself isolated, her once vibrant social life crumbling as trust eroded. The realization that her carefully curated image was now tarnished weighed heavily on her, stripping away the support systems she had relied on for so long. In today's digital age, one's online presence is a significant aspect of their identity. I knew that Laura's digital footprint was extensive, with numerous social media accounts, professional profiles, and personal communications. Utilizing my technical expertise, I began to systematically dismantle her online persona. I first accessed her professional accounts, subtly altering her portfolio to include projects she never worked on, casting doubt on her capabilities. Next, I infiltrated her personal social media, deleting past posts that portrayed her in a positive light and highlighting interactions that revealed her manipulative tendencies. Private messages and emails were exposed, showcasing the depth of her deceit and the lengths she went to maintain her double life. To ensure the damage was irreparable, I created anonymous accounts to flood her online presence with negative reviews and false endorsements, further eroding her credibility. The digital onslaught left Laura struggling to maintain any semblance of normalcy, her online reputation in shambles. The final phase of my plan focused on the emotional aftermath of Laura's actions. I orchestrated scenarios that forced her to confront the consequences of her deceit firsthand. Through carefully timed anonymous messages and orchestrated encounters, I reintroduced her past lovers into her life in ways that left her grappling with the reality of her choices. One evening, Laura received an unexpected message from an old flame, sparking memories she had long buried. Their interaction was brief, but charged with the weight of past betrayals. Another time, I arranged for a mutual acquaintance to casually mention a closed chapter of Laura's love life, reigniting feelings of guilt and regret. These encounters were designed to break her down emotionally, leaving her to navigate the tangled web of her own making. Each interaction served as a reminder of the pain she had inflicted, not just on me, but on herself, creating an internal turmoil that mirrored the external chaos she had caused. As each layer of Laura's life unraveled, I watched from a distance, ensuring that every action was a step towards her complete downfall. The once vibrant and manipulative woman I had known was now a shadow of her former self, grappling with the consequences of her choices. The culmination of my efforts was not just her professional and social ruin, but the personal recognition of the pain she had caused. Laura was left to navigate a life devoid of the comforts and securities she had once taken for granted, forced to confront the reality of her actions without the safety net of deceit. In those final moments, as I observed the full extent of her downfall, a sense of closure washed over me. The revenge I had meticulously crafted was complete, ensuring that Laura could no longer manipulate or deceive without facing the repercussions. It was a testament to the strength I had found within myself, turning the pain of betrayal into a catalyst for reclaiming my life and integrity. As the dust settled from the meticulously orchestrated downfall, I observed the aftermath of my actions with a mix of satisfaction and introspection. Each step I had taken to dismantle Laura's carefully constructed life was now bearing fruit, but the journey was far from over. Laura's world had become a labyrinth of shattered illusions and exposed truths. Professionally, the internal audit I had set in motion had spiraled into a full-blown investigation. Her superiors, once confident in her abilities, were now scrutinizing every decision she had made. The once respected creative director found herself cornered, her career teetering on the brink of collapse. The advertising agency was swift in its response, enforcing policies that left little room for leniency. Within weeks, Laura was removed from her position, her professional reputation tarnished beyond repair. Socially, the damage was equally profound. Friends who had once admired her charisma and charm now viewed her with suspicion and disdain. Invitations to gatherings dwindled to none, and conversations that once flowed effortlessly were now laced with judgment and disbelief. Laura's attempts to salvage her social standing were met with cold shoulders and whispered criticisms. The isolation she had once skillfully navigated now felt like an inescapable prison, each day reinforcing the consequences of her deceit. Digitally, her online presence was in shambles. Professional profiles were riddled with inconsistencies. Personal social media accounts reflected a skewed reality, and her once flourishing network of connections had dwindled to a mere shadow of its former self. The anonymous reviews and false endorsements I had orchestrated amplified the negative perception, ensuring that Laura's digital footprint mirrored the chaos of her real life. Emotionally, Laura was left to grapple with the wreckage of her choices. The staged encounters and anonymous messages had ignited a whirlwind of guilt and regret, forcing her to confront the pain she had inflicted not only on me, but also on herself. Each day became a battle against the lingering shadows of her past actions, the weight of her deceit pressing down on her with relentless force. Amidst the unfolding consequences, I found myself at a crossroads of emotion and reason. The satisfaction of seeing Laura face the repercussions of her actions was tempered by a deep-seated reflection on the path I had chosen. Revenge, I realized, was a double-edged sword. While it provided a sense of justice, it also pulled me deeper into a vortex of emotional turmoil. Sitting in my workshop, the scent of freshly cut wood filling the air, I pondered the nature of my actions. Each piece I crafted was a tangible manifestation of my resilience, a stark contrast to the intangible chaos that had ensued in my personal life. Woodworking had always been my sanctuary, a place where I could channel my frustrations into something beautiful and enduring. Now, it served as a reminder of the balance I needed to maintain between justice and personal peace. I questioned the morality of my revenge. Had I crossed a line, Or was I simply ensuring that Laura faced the consequences she deserved? The line between justice and vengeance is often blurred, and in my quest for retribution, I had to navigate this fine boundary carefully. It was essential to ensure that my actions remained just, without descending into the very deceit I sought to eradicate. As the days turned into weeks, the immediate intensity of my emotions began to ebb, replaced by a calmer, more measured perspective. The initial surge of anger had subsided, giving way to a sense of empowerment and clarity. I had reclaimed my life from the shadows of deceit, but the journey towards healing was just beginning. The turmoil had undeniably left its mark, but it also forged a newfound strength within me. I threw myself into expanding my private investigation firm, taking on cases that resonated with my mission of uncovering truth and delivering justice. Each successful case reinforced my commitment to integrity and honesty, principles that had been tested to their limits. Community trust in my abilities grew, providing not only a sense of professional fulfillment, but also a personal sense of purpose. Helping others navigate their own struggles and uncover hidden truths became a beacon of hope, a way to turn my own pain into something meaningful and constructive. In the quiet moments of the night, I would often reflect on the lessons learned from this ordeal, the importance of resilience, the value of truth, and the necessity of setting boundaries were now deeply ingrained in my psyche. These lessons guided me as I continued to rebuild my life, piece by piece, much like the intricate wooden sculptures that adorned my workshop. As Laura's life continued to unravel, I focused on reclaiming my own. The pain of betrayal had initially driven me towards revenge, but it was through this journey that I discovered the true extent of my resilience and capacity for growth. I began to explore new interests, fostering relationships that were built on genuine trust and mutual respect. My woodworking hobby evolved into a form of therapy, each project a testament to my journey from heartbreak to healing. The precision and patience required in crafting each piece mirrored the careful steps I was taking to mend my own life. With each finished project, I felt a sense of accomplishment and a step closer to reclaiming the peace that had been disrupted. Life had a way of teaching lessons through the harshest of experiences. The end of my marriage was a painful reminder of the fragility of trust and the strength required to overcome betrayal. Yet, it also opened the door to a new chapter, one where I could rebuild my life on a foundation of honesty, integrity, and self-respect. As autumn gave way to winter, the vibrant colors of the maple trees in my yard were replaced by the stark beauty of bare branches against the crisp sky. It was a season of change, a metaphor for the transformation I was undergoing. The once tumultuous relationship with Laura had given way to a newfound clarity and purpose, guiding me towards a future filled with hope and resilience. The final pieces of Laura's carefully constructed life had fallen into place, each one a testament to the meticulousness of my plan. As I watched the remnants of her world crumble, a sense of finality settled over me. It was time to bring this chapter to a close, not just for her, but for myself as well. A week after Laura's arrest, she returned to our house, her presence a stark reminder of the chaos she had wrought. I had anticipated her attempt to reclaim what was once ours, but this time, I was prepared. Her knocking echoed through the empty house, each tap a rhythm of desperation and defiance. I stood by the window, observing her approach. Her demeanor had shifted. Gone was the confident facade, replaced by a vulnerability that was both unexpected and disarming. When the door swung open, her eyes met mine, devoid of the usual fire, instead clouded with a mixture of fear and resignation. "Why are you here, Laura?" I asked, my voice steady yet firm. She took a hesitant step inside, her posture no longer confrontational. "I just wanted to talk," she murmured, her usual composure shattered. I gestured toward the living room, the space now stripped of any remnants of our shared life. "We have nothing left to discuss. It's over." She looked around, the reality of her situation sinking in. "I thought we could work things out, Mason." "I was wrong," I sighed, a weight lifting off my shoulders. "We can't go back. The damage is done, and so are we." There was a moment of silence, the air thick with unspoken emotions. Laura's eyes met mine, a silent acknowledgement passing between us. It was a moment of closure, a final farewell to the life we once shared. With Laura's departure, a profound sense of liberation washed over me. The house, once a battleground of deceit and betrayal, now felt like a blank canvas ready for new beginnings. I dedicated myself to rebuilding not just my home, but my life as well. I expanded my private investigation firm, taking on more cases that aligned with my passion for uncovering the truth. Each successful investigation reinforced my commitment to justice and integrity, providing a sense of purpose that had been overshadowed by the turmoil of my marriage. In my workshop, I immersed myself in woodworking, each project a therapeutic escape from the lingering shadows of the past. The rhythmic sound of the saw and the satisfying feel of shaping raw wood brought a sense of peace and accomplishment. These creations were more than just furniture. They were symbols of my resilience and the life I was carving out for myself. I also began to forge new relationships, both personally and professionally. Trust, once fractured, was slowly rebuilt through genuine connections and mutual respect. Friends and colleagues offered their support, their presence a comforting reminder that I was not alone in this journey. Meanwhile, Laura's life continued to spiral downward. The professional and social sabotage I had meticulously orchestrated left her isolated and vulnerable. The internal investigation at her advertising agency concluded with her termination. The once promising career now in ruins. Her social circles had dwindled to mere acquaintances, the weight of her deceit too heavy to bear. Invitations to events ceased, and the whispers of her infidelity echoed through her interactions, severing any remaining ties of trust and friendship. Digitally, her online presence was a chaotic mess. Professional profiles were riddled with inconsistencies. Personal social media accounts reflected a skewed reality, and the anonymous reviews I had planted ensured that her reputation remained tarnished. The isolation she faced was compounded by the loss of her professional standing, leaving her to navigate a life devoid of the connections she had once so carefully cultivated. Emotionally, Laura was left to confront the consequences of her actions alone. The guilt and regret that had been carefully masked by her manipulative tendencies now consumed her, leading to a profound sense of self-loathing and despair. The very foundations of her identity were shaken, leaving her to grapple with the emptiness that betrayal had wrought. One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves outside painted the landscape in hues of gold and amber, I sat on the porch of my home, reflecting on the journey that had brought me here. The setting sun cast long shadows across the yard, the vibrant colors a stark contrast to the darkness that had once enveloped my life. I took a deep breath, the cool air filling my lungs with a sense of renewal. The pain of betrayal had been a harsh teacher, but it had also forged within me a strength I had never known. The path to healing was still ongoing, but each step forward was a testament to my resilience and unwavering commitment to integrity. As night fell, the stars began to twinkle in the clear sky, a reminder of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. I felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that I had reclaimed my life from the shadows of deceit and betrayal. The future was uncertain, but it was mine to shape, guided by the lessons learned and the strength earned through adversity. With one last glance at the serene night, I turned back into the house, ready to embrace the new beginnings that awaited me. The journey had been arduous, but it had led me to a place of clarity and empowerment, where the echoes of the past no longer held sway over my present or future. Thank you, friends,